I'm Brennan Mejia, and I play Tyler, the Red Dino Charge Ranger, and you're listening to the Lightning Collective podcast, hosted by Callum. It's about to get wild!
Hello and welcome to the Lightning Collective podcast. I'm your host Callum, and today I've got an amazing guest for you. He is an action figure reviewer who takes a more mellowed, chilled out approach to analysing collectibles. His name is Bryant, but you may know him as MCUcollector24. How are you doing, bud?
Doing great. Happy to be here.
Amazing. So our topic for this week, as you're a reviewer, is the Lightning Collection Wave 5, as it's reached the majority of places now. It came out in the UK, I think, like 2 weeks ago, I want to say. How is it there in America? Has it finally been, released, or is it still just through Amazon?
People have been finding it in stores at Walmarts, I think mainly down in Southern California. I personally haven't seen any of Wave 5 anywhere, not that I hunt too often. So from what I've seen, mostly Amazon, and I know Entertainment Earth has also shipped out.
Oh, okay. All right. So we're sort of still in the early stages then, I guess. But before we talk about that, I just want to mention one of my cats. He sadly passed away today on July 2nd. We didn't realise this, but he had diabetes, which really sucks. And he deteriorated quite quickly, which I suppose is sort of a good thing. So rest in peace, buddy, and make sure that you make my bed nice and warm when I see you again. But we'll talk about news now, Power Rangers related. So the first bit of news is that the Psycho Ranger Team Pack I mentioned last episode has surfaced in Malaysia, and to everyone's surprise, it's the main 5, which I'm surprised that they're releasing red and blue again. And I think there was a listing that said it was, I don't have it written down, but I think it was 120 euros, I think, on Amazon.
$99.99 for us in the States.
Right, yeah. So it'll probably be the same here in the UK. We're finally getting, after 20 years, the Psycho Pink and Yellow Rangers, and they seem to be similar to the male counterparts in that the chest is like a rubber overlay, judging by the outer packaging shots, and the head seems to be the same sculpt as well as the male counterpart, so the head looks really huge on the girls.
Ooh, I hope that once having it in hand, I hope that's not going to be the case.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too. I mean, it doesn't look too jarring because we've only seen that photo of the I don't know who posted it, but someone posted a shot of them in the blister, and they all come with their signature weapons, which is nice. No human heads from that one episode. I think that 3 of them appeared as human.
Yeah, that was in when they appeared in Lost Galaxy, right?
Yeah, I think that one was in space. I think. Because I think they were spying on the Rangers. I'll be honest, I don't remember.
Oh, yeah, you know what? Yes, correct. You are right.
Yeah, I think they were standing on rooftops in biker gear or something, I think.
Yeah, they looked all cool and leather jackets or something.
Yeah. The next bit of Lightning Collection news is a Draken Evo 3 figure has appeared on Amazon. The price point is €65 or £50, but what you get for that, damaged Ranger helmets, his weapons, and a mini post that represents an epic moment in the comics. But yeah, I don't know, that price point seems pretty steep for, I guess, glorified accessories of helmets. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know what the price will be in the US. I think if it's €50, I think they just pretty much translate it to $50, right? So if we're looking at $50 for one figure, and
it was €65 and it was 50. Well, I guess that it would be roughly £50.
Oh, see, I don't. Depending on what the price will be in the US, it does seem pretty high. But I wonder if maybe he comes with a throne, and that's just not getting mentioned because damaged helmet accessories. That's cool and all, but there's no way that's enough to justify that price.
And he never held a helmet, really. I think he did in one panel very early on in the Power Rangers comic run. But later on during Shattered Grid, there was that, I guess it's classic now because everyone knows it, but there was that comic cover of him sitting on his throne with all the helmets around him. And if it just came with the helmets without the throne, it would feel a bit incomplete.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But in gaming news, Kaya the Omega Blue Ranger has been added to Power Rangers Legacy Wars as a premium character. So that's a win for comic fans, even if you have to pay to get her. Do you play Legacy Wars at all?
I do not. No, no, I'm not much of a gamer for any games.
Oh, fair enough. What's nice about Legacy Wars is that because I play it like once every few months, every time I go on it, all of the premium characters that were in the game at the time that I played it, the next time I played it, they would all be put into their leagues, which is how you get the characters without paying. But for I don't know how long it lasts premium wise, but I have a feeling it's maybe like 3 months, and then they get rotated out for new characters. But it's nice that we're getting more comic representation. In the TV show news, Beast Morphers finished airing in the UK on the 29th of June. Without going into spoilers, the show fans were pleased with the continuity made with past seasons and are looking forward to Dino Fury. Did you hear anything about the TV show at all and what they did?
I don't because I watched Power Rangers as a kid, so any of the new stuff that I'm just really
Right.
not familiar with. Now I've kind of watched an episode here and there of Beast Morphers,
Yeah.
um, and I've seen the announcement of the new season, but beyond that, I am completely in the dark of these things. But I am still interested, so I'm trying to pick up as much information as I can now to just to become more aware of what's going on.
It's weird because when I came back into Power Rangers, it was because of the comics back in like 2018. And I feel like that just because I've become a part of like so many groups on Facebook, it's hard to dodge all of these spoilers. So if you really want to get into, if you really want to watch the show, I feel like you have to watch it as it airs rather than, unless you just don't care, then you'll miss out on it. But if you're dipping in and out of Power Rangers in like groups on Facebook and stuff, you're gonna get spoiled. The ending of the Beast Morpher show was, I think, for Hasbro's first attempt at a season was really good because they made quite a few continuity connections with past seasons, and comparing that to I think it's called the new Saban era, from like Samurai to what was it? Was it Ninja Steel? That was it.
Yeah.
They didn't really stray too far from Mighty Morphin because I remember I watched a few episodes of Samurai and Megaforce, and the theme song was the exact same as Mighty Morphin. And it's not really the thing that Power Rangers fans likes is the differences between the seasons. They don't like just a copy and paste of a previous season. And I think that's why Power Rangers has stood the test of time, is because every season, like it's got a formula, which is during in the episode something happens, a monster appears, the Rangers defeat the monster, it grows, they battle it in a Megazord, story ends. But during those beats, you get these little moments that really shape the season as a whole. So I feel like the Power Rangers fans really like that aspect of Beast Morphers because it is, in a way, it is cookie cutter, but they are changing the formula very slightly. But of course, they want to get it right the first time. So I can understand they didn't change the show too much for their first attempt. But I think hopefully with Dino Fury, they will do what Disney did and just do something different each season
Mhm.
rather than, sticking to the same cookie cutter method.
Yeah, time will
Uh,
tell. So funny that you mentioned spoilers a little bit early on. So here in the States, and maybe I'm wrong on this. I looked on like IMDb because with the appearance of Jason and everything like that, that really piqued my interest. So I went on YouTube and I had to find, the episode that way. But
yeah,
that second half of the season is not set to begin airing here in the States until I think September. So the season will conclude in, I don't know, October, November, maybe. So the season having ended already in other parts of the world, we're only halfway through that second season in the States. It's on hiatus right now. So all the Jason stuff, the ending of that second season, the finale, we're not supposed to know that, I guess. It's
yeah.
a little
That
confusing to me.
That is weird. I heard someone say the other week, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I think Nick, because of their tight scheduling, the reason why it's not airing at the minute is just because of their schedule. I don't know what is airing on TV in America at the minute, but I think that is why, because I think it's not only the UK that is airing Beast Morphers before the US, I think it's Australia as well. I could be wrong.
No,
But that
I think I heard that too. Australia had aired it already.
Yeah, and I just find it really interesting that it's not Hasbro that is stopping Power Rangers from airing. It's the networks themselves, just because their schedules. And I find it really interesting that some networks have just said, you know what, screw it, we're just going to air it now. Especially as here in the UK, Pop isn't a main children's channel. It's I don't know how to describe it because I don't know what US TV channels are like, but it's sort of like a third tier channel, if you get what I mean. It's not when people think kids' TV channels, they don't think, oh, Pop. They think of Cartoon Network, Nick, Disney XD, if that's still a thing, Disney Channel. For us in the UK, there's CBBC, CITV. No one thinks of Pop. So it was very surprising to me that it was airing on Pop to begin with. But it is what it is. Comics news. Comixology has revealed, whether it be intentional or not, that the next storyline in Power Rangers comics is going to be called Aftermath. We don't know much else apart from that, but they have. I won't say the leaks on here, just because when I read comics, I like it to be a surprise. But again, the leaks are out there, you can have a look. But I do find it very interesting, and it does add variety into the comics because at the minute it's just Mighty Morphin, and I do like Mighty Morphin and I do like what they're doing, but I would like to see other things in that universe. I don't care whether it's other seasons or not because technically they haven't reached the other seasons yet. But it is nice that they are going to be doing something different, and I hope it does pay off. I really do. Did you have? I don't suppose you've seen that leak, have you?
I haven't. I haven't read any of the comics. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos going over the things like the Shattered Grid storyline and all of that. I've watched videos to have a better understanding of it all. But
Right.
because I haven't followed the comics, I don't know what's currently going on now. The only news or information I have is that the Ranger Slayer one shot is going to be coming out on, I think, July 22nd for us, as part of the free comic book day or free comic book month, whatever they've kind of rebranded it as.
Right. Right. It is. I think this is where the confusion is because there are two Ranger Slayer comics coming out. There's the Road to Ranger Slayer, which is the free comic book day issue, which is basically just the exclusive story that's in the Shattered Grid hardback book. Whenever there's a hardback book, they always have like an exclusive story in it. So they are releasing that as the free comic book day issue. The Ranger Slayer comic is is an issue that you will have to pay for, but it is set. I could be wrong. I think it's set in between Necessary Evil and Aftermath. Could be wrong. Yeah, there's a lot of confusion now with the comics, just because they are releasing, I think, like 2 every month just to catch up with themselves. Because from what Ryan Parrott has said, he hasn't stopped at all to take a break during this pandemic, and I doubt none of the artists have either. So I think they're just going to pump them out for the next few months, like twice monthly. But yeah, it is exciting what's going to happen next, and I'm really looking forward to it. But I do recommend you do read the comics. They're really good. I think that's it for news. If I've missed anything out, give me a shout on Twitter at PRL Collective or DM me at Lightning Collection on Twitter. Sorry, not Twitter, Instagram. I'm an idiot. So should we move on to Wave 5?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So I thought we could do it by series order because that's how I've got it on my shelf. So I've got it wave first and then series, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
So we'll go with Billy first. What were the good things that you liked about the figure?
First good thing would be the fact that we just got him, because I was worried that Hasbro was going to take their dear sweet time in releasing the Mighty Morphin team.
Right.
And for the most part, they've been doing it pretty quickly. So first off, very, very pleased to just get him already. It's typical Mighty Morphin figure, so there's nothing that really stands out for the figure. So in terms of good, I guess that's really it. It's just the fact that we got him, and that's really it for the good. I'm just pleased to have the figure because he just doesn't do anything new. But there's some things to talk about in the figure, and I think a lot of it's going to come off negative, at least from what I see in comments of what people have been mentioning. I don't think it's terrible, but I think it's worth mentioning. The helmet for one. I didn't notice this when I had reviewed it. It doesn't stand out to me, but a lot of people did not like a couple of things. They thought it was too rounded and just too, I guess, stocky looking, that it should have been a little bit more ovally and a little bit taller, like higher.
Yeah.
I guess the Bandai Legacy figure did it really well. And then the mouth guard piece of the helmet should have had more silver to it, should have been larger. That's not something that really strikes out to me. The sculpt of it is nice, in my opinion, but it's just those little nitpick things that I think a lot of people have noticed. But for me, it's not that bad. The biggest issue is just how far down it sits on the neck. It doesn't really stand out as bad looking, but then when you try to move the head, that's when you have the issues. But when you think about a person wearing an actual helmet, how much of their neck is going to be shown when that helmet is on? So I think it looks okay. It's just the functionality of it is what really is what really gets affected, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I do get what you mean. I think with Billy, he's very much, and it's not Hasbro's fault. He is a plain figure. It's just the nature of the suits with Mighty Morphin. I do like the variety of weapons that he does come with. The fact that you have the power lance as a lance, and then it splits into, I don't even know what to call them, I guess, like dagger things.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah, I don't know what they're called, but it's nice that you get the variety for that. And I'll be honest, I really like the head sculpt for, Billy's civilian head. It's not as bad as the photos make it out to look. I think you need it in person to really appreciate it. I think that
Completely agree.
I think the head sculpt would have been better if they did. I'll be honest, I'm not a Ghostbusters fan, but Hasbro released his figure recently, or it's just coming out. But the dude with glasses from Ghostbusters, they're molded to his face. They're a part of his
Egon
face.
Spengler, they did a great job with that. They really did. It's a little jarring from, I guess, from the side, but it's overall they did a fantastic job with it.
Yeah, I think that if they did that with Billy, it would have been great. But because it is a separate piece, I don't know. I feel like they're a bit too chunky, or there's just something off about them. But I think they really nailed it with the Ghostbusters guy. I don't think they quite nailed it with Billy.
Right. So Hasbro seems to be all over the place when it comes to glasses, because if you look at the Marvel Legends Stan Lee figure, that has separate glasses pieces with translucent so you could see through the lens. They did a great job on that one. But then you look at the Spider-Man retro Peter Parker figure and you can't even see through the lenses. So Hasbro's really all over the board when it comes to glasses. But that Egon Spengler figure is probably the best example, or the best that they could do.
Yeah, and I hope they learn from that as well. I hope they realize that that is the best they have done, and they will continue to do that for characters that wear glasses. Can't think of many that do in Power Rangers. Maybe like the purple Dino Charge Ranger. She wears glasses sometimes. But yeah, for me, that's where the good sort of ends with Billy, because he is very much a basic figure that he doesn't really have a lot going on. That's not to say he's a bad figure. I don't think he is. The helmet, though, it is. I don't find it jarring looking at it. I think it's fine. But then you look at a photo of the helmet, of the actual helmet, and yeah, it is very squished. This is a problem with Lightning Collection as a whole, but I don't understand why, because I'm pretty sure Hasbro owns them. Why can't they just scan the helmets?
Well, that's a good point. I don't know.
Because I've seen customizers get screen accurate helmets from guys that produce helmets for cosplayers, what they do is I don't know how they do it, but they scan it somehow, and then they shrink it down to 6-inch size. Because I've got a helmet of the Mighty Morphin Red Ranger, because not a fan of the helmet that Hasbro gave us, so I plan on using that for my red. But yeah, I just don't understand why can't they scan them like they do with the Beast Morpher Ranger civilian heads? Because I'm sure they do scan those heads. They can't be that good without scanning, surely.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe I think Hasbro said, I don't know where I heard this from, that I could just be talking out my ass, but I'm pretty sure I did hear that they are planning to get the helmets as screen accurate as possible. But yeah, I think for Billy, I think that's it, to be honest. There's not really much to talk about with him, unless you've got anything more to say. And the
The
helmet,
only
it's very low.
Well, no, the helmet is one thing, but the other thing I wanted to point out is the hair. And I had seen a couple of comments on this. For some reason, for me, the hair looks a little off too. And I don't know what it is, because I think if you go back and watch, he did have brown hair, but for whatever reason, in my own memory, I'm thinking it was more of a blonde color. So for me, like when I first look at it, I'm thinking, wait, this just doesn't look right. But I mean, it is technically screen accurate. I don't know if maybe some kind of shading or something in the hair, just to give it a more texturized look to it, would have helped make it stand out. But it just looks a little off to me. But that's probably just me.
I'm gonna disagree with you on that. I think his hair's the best part. I think
see that. Well, I've seen people say that they actually got his hair color right, and I'm thinking, I just, for whatever reason, I don't know what it is. It's like the Mandela effect. In my memory, he had blonde hair and not brown. I don't know what it is.
I may give you a possible solution, and that is that for every toy that I've seen of him with a civilian head, he's always had blonde hair. I'm pretty sure. Like, I'm pretty sure he has always had blonde hair. I could be wrong. And there was, I think in the comics as well, I think early on he had blonde hair as well, and then it got darker. Again, I could be wrong. But yeah, no, I get what you mean, because I think the public perception is that he's got blonde hair, but he doesn't.
Yeah. See, I think it's just me. For whatever reason, that's just stuck in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, it is an interesting thing. But yeah, I guess that's Billy. There's not really a lot to talk about with him. The next figure in the wave is Ranger Slayer. What did you think of her?
I thought she was fantastic. Me not being familiar with the character, having not read the comics, so not really seeing the artwork and how it's translated into figure form, strictly from a figure perspective, it's fantastic. We get all the typical articulation that we get with all the other Power Rangers Lightning Collection figures, but it just, I don't know what it is. You just look at the figure, the sculpt of it is nice, the design of it is great. So credit to the creators and the artists, the writers, and everything and what they did. It just translates so nicely into figure form. Everything about it is great. I love the way the cape looks, the tattered look on the ends of it, the black and pink of the suit. It is just a fantastic design for a figure, and it really stands out when displayed on a shelf.
Yeah, I completely agree. The nice thing, which is weird because I don't think I would usually like it on any other figure, but I really like helmet size. I don't know what it is. I think it adds to the comic bookiness of it, I guess. But I really like that it is that big. Having said that, comparing that to the Mighty Morphin Pink Ranger, the helmet looks a bit too big. But when she's standing on her own, or with Draken, I think she looks great. I like that it's a very unique sculpt as well. There's a lot of new pieces, including the ankle. There's a swivel at the ankle. I don't know why they did that, but it is there. Maybe for stability, but I would have thought it would have been the opposite. I would have thought that she would have fallen over more because of it.
Yeah, so that's probably my biggest dislike about the figure is the ankles. I just don't like stability. It makes her want to fall over a lot more. And Hasbro did this in their Marvel Legends line with a couple of figures, but the one that stands out the most is their Gwenpool figure.
Right.
So I don't know if it's just a female figure thing that they do. It is nice as of an idea that it is. It's because that plastic is so soft. It's just hard to really get that hinge to be effective. and to get it to stand nicely. So that's my biggest negative of the figure. Probably my only negative of the figure.
Right, okay. I really like the accessories that she comes with as well. I think they are on point. One thing that I will say that I do wish that she came with is the arrow. This is a comic spoiler, by the way. But in the comics, to resolve the Shattered Grid storyline, she shoots Tommy, the Green Ranger, with an arrow that essentially saves his life later down the road. It would have been really nice for her to have that accessory. I understand why they didn't include it because she is a very unique, she's the most unique figure of the entire wave, I would say. And adding that, maybe potentially she would have turned into an exclusive because it would have bumped the price up a bit too much. But yeah, no, I think just overall she just looks great. And the cape, I'm so glad they went with a plastic cape. I'm not a fan of cloth capes. I think they don't really do a lot unless they've got wires in them. And I don't think it would work for Ranger Slayer anyway. What is your opinion on the cape not being attached to the figure? It just sort of rests on her.
I think that's the way to do it. I think well, if I look at like Marvel Legends, you have like the Doctor Strange figures. There was 2 movie Doctor Strange figures. One where the cape sits over the head, so it won't just like come off nicely, and then the second release where it just sits over the shoulders, but it has the peg in the back. I think it's more effective when it's just over the shoulders, because I think moving it around, it'll move with the figure a little bit nicer, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I just like that it can easily come off without having to pop a head off. I'm scared to like remove hands and remove heads, breaking figures, because I've broken a couple Black Widow figures, and most recently my neck at Casey Jones by just popping a hand off and broke it. So if I can avoid having to pop anything off, that's the way to go.
Yeah, I understand that. From say that you are, let's say you're back in your 7-year-old shoes, do you think you would like it then, or do you think you would just pull it in your, well, I don't know how it was when you were younger, but I used to have like a toy bin where I just chuck my toys in, after I'm done playing with them. Would you chuck it straight in your toy bin if like it just, while you were playing with her? Yeah, would it get in the way, or do you think that the way that it's designed, it sits on the shoulders to the point where it doesn't easily come off, but it can come off if you need it to, if that makes sense?
Yeah, if I was a kid, I probably would just chuck it into a bag. I think I had like a duffel bag of all my action figures, and I would just throw it in there. I probably wouldn't care about the cape when I was a kid.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I think I would be the exact same. Because when I was younger, if any of my toys had accessories, they would either immediately get lost or I'd just chuck them in my toy bin. They would not see the light of day again.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
My
Now,
imagination would say
yeah,
they've got the accessory in their hand.
yeah. Now I have a little Ziploc bag that I get, and then I write a label on that bag, and then put all the extra accessories in that bag, and then into a larger Ziploc bag to keep them all together. Yeah, I'm not losing anything.
Yeah, no, I'm the exact same. Well, I thought I was until I moved house, and it turns out that my Commander Cody is missing his DC-15 rifle.
Oh
I found
no.
it. I found it. It was sitting in a box. But anyway, sorry. Back to Power Rangers. So Ranger Slayer. The negatives. As you're not a comic book fan, you may not realize, but she is missing a few paint apps. Her hands, they are armored, and they don't have the painted armor, or they're not white like they are in the comics. I don't know if you see on her hands, but the sculpt is there.
I see. Yeah, I see the sculpt.
And she's also missing a pterodactyl symbol on her right shoulder, the one that's bare. There's supposed to be a pterodactyl symbol on there. I suppose the biggest negative that a lot of people are feeling the same way about is that she doesn't come with a civilian head sculpt, which is a real shame. People have found alternatives with different lines. So with Marvel Legends, there's I don't know where it's from exactly, but I know that Captain Marvel, the comic book version, used the same head sculpt. But there is a version, I believe, with brunette hair. I could be wrong.
I I've only seen people use an Overwatch figure, and
Right. Okay,
maybe the Jean Grey from the Age of Apocalypse wave.
yeah. Yeah, it may be that one, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, or it could be that one. But yeah, no, I've seen a lot of people using the Overwatch figure. I'm not a fan of that head, I'll be honest. It seems a bit too soft. But yeah, no, it would have been nice to get a Kimberly head sculpt, but I understand why they didn't. Maybe if she was an exclusive, they would have given it to her.
Yeah, maybe just because of too much new mold. They
Yeah,
just couldn't put in the cost. You look at like Draken, and a lot of that was reused parts. So I think they could get away with, funding that Tommy Oliver. Plus, it's Tommy Oliver. I mean, let's face it, right?
he's gonna sell either way. But yeah, is that it for Ranger Slayer? Have you got more to say?
That's all I've got for her.
Okay, all right. So let's move on to Trey, the Gold Ranger. What did you think on him? What was the good? What was the bad? What was the ugly? I suppose.
So I absolutely love this figure. When I was a kid, watching Power Rangers, when Zeo Gold came on, he just looked so cool, right? In the black and the gold. I just absolutely love the design. So I love what Hasbro has done with the figure. Bandai Legacy, I was very disappointed in. So when Hasbro gave theirs, I was a little worried too on what they would do. I like the gold. I still go back and forth on which version of this Ranger, this figure that I like more, whether it's the San Diego Comic Con or this one, because there are some differences in the gold. The new one seems to have a brighter gold, but looking at mine now, and I'm kind of sitting in some darker light, it looks like my right and left boots actually have a different shade of gold. So I guess that would be a negative now that I notice that. That's kind of weird. And then the gold paint above the knee over the black plastic, it just didn't quite hit the mark. But overall, I still think it's a fantastic figure. I really like the way it came out. The gold, I think, is good. We don't get a mustard yellow. The shading that we get in the shield looks good. And then the Tray of Triforia head sculpt, that blew me away. I didn't see that coming from Hasbro.
I completely agree with everything that you said. It is 1,000 times better than the Legacy figure. I don't know what band I was thinking with that. The gold, like you mentioned, is actually gold, and the likeness on that head sculpt is great. I will say one thing about the head sculpt though. I'm pretty sure the actor is tanned, right? Or the actors, because they're triplets, aren't they? They're tanned, aren't they?
Yes. So that's like so Hasbro seems to use a much more pale skin tone, I would say. When kind of watching it back, they weren't super tan, but it definitely a darker skin tone than what we got in the figure.
That's the only bad thing that I have to say about the head sculpt, really. Yeah, I absolutely adore the figure. I think that it's the definitive Gold Ranger, like hands down. If you're on the fence about it, I wouldn't be at all. Go out and grab it, because I would imagine this is going to be, after the Mighty Morphin team, this figure is going to be one that a lot of people will want, just because of how well it's executed. Because the helmet, I believe, is 100% accurate. I don't think there's any inaccuracies with it. I think it's the right shape, especially compared to that Legacy figure. And I know that I keep bringing back the Legacy figure, but like comparing those two, it's just like one looked like a pound. I don't know what you have. I think they're called dollar stores in America, but over here there's a store called Poundland where you can get anything for £1. And the Legacy figure genuinely looks like a Poundland toy. It does. The staff, I think, is inaccurate. I don't believe that happened in the show, because with the San Diego Comic Con 2-pack, you get both versions of it, I guess, splayed out, and the handle down, and then you got the handle up and it's closed. Whereas this one, it's a weird one because the handle is up, but it's opened. The staff is open.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Hasbro was thinking. And then the couple of missing paint spots on the staff. So that's the negative is in the staff. I was surprised and And I never noticed, based on the promo images, that it was going to be a new staff compared to the two that we got at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
So, that kind of threw me off as well. It would have been nice, and I think Hasbro would have benefited from just either, I guess, releasing one of the ones that they already did or packing them all in there. Because it's hard for me to imagine that they would release this figure again after already having 2 releases within a year. I can't imagine that we're going to get another Zeo Gold. So, to your point, when you say if you see it, go pick it up, I definitely would, because I don't think they're going to be re-releasing this guy anytime soon.
The last figure is a Wes from Power Rangers Time Force. What did you think of the figure?
The figure is good. I don't have a huge connection to the show because I've only seen maybe the first 3 episodes. I thought it was pretty interesting the way they opened up. When you kill off a ranger in your first episode, that's pretty shocking. So the show was good. The head sculpt came out okay, I think, but when we're talking something 20 to 25 years old, again, Hasbro did a good job with what they could. The figure itself, I really like playing with it more and more. At the time, I didn't really pay close attention to it because when I reviewed it, I was basically doing a test with a video on my phone. So I didn't take a real close look at the figure like I really should have. But this one uses a different body, or at least torso piece, than the other Rangers. So he's a lot smaller, which is really noticeable when you stand him next to like the Billy figure. It's just kind of has my head scratching why they would go smaller. Not like these guys are all real bulky or anything, but this torso is extremely narrow. So I think that definitely hurts the figure. And then the helmet is so far down. Again, you don't get the functionality in the hinge. But overall, I think it looks good. The red is a little dull in my opinion, where like the darker red of the Jason figure really helps stand it out. This one it just looks a little dull and plain to me. But the helmet looks really nice.
I was going to point out the body that they used because I noticed that too. Yeah, they used a slimmer body mold, and I believe it's from the putty. I believe. I could be wrong, but I don't know if it's a different chest, but it's definitely a thinner waist. Which again, Wes is not a slim guy.
He was kind of a bulky guy, wasn't
he? Yeah, he was on the bulk. I mean, he wasn't huge, but he was in the similar vein of Jason and Tommy in terms of body proportions.
Yeah, so I grabbed the putty off my shelf. It is definitely not the same torso. So the putty uses the same as, it's not even really I guess the chest piece isn't the same as, yeah, he's different also, but it's definitely not the same. Time Force definitely uses one that's a little bit even more narrow than the putty.
I mean, I'm thankful that they are using different molds, because especially if you've got all of these Rangers lined up, they do look the same. But
in typical Hasbro fashion to reuse the same body for every single figure.
But I feel like that they should have used Wes's mold for Billy. I know that David Yost is an acrobat, and in all fairness, he is huge. Or he was back then. I don't know about now, but he was huge. But I just feel like that Billy as a character would be more suited to that body mold. Maybe not in seasons like 2 and 3, but for season 1, where he's wearing the baggier clothes and all the rest of it, I feel like that body mold would have suited him better. But with Wes, I was one of the unlucky few that got a few paint problems. The visor, what side is it? When you're looking at it, the left side is lower than the right side. I knew this was going to be an issue because the promotional shots even got it wrong. The promotional shots are the exact same as my figure, which gave me a real scare, and sadly, I got it. I know that a lot of people haven't, but I know a lot of people have. I don't know. Have you seen that problem with the head? That the visor, the left side is lower than the right side, so it doesn't line up properly.
I'm like taking a close look at mine. Mine looks good. I don't have any issues with mine. Maybe I'm the
Yeah, I
lucky.
saw. Yeah, I saw your review, and you got one of the lucky ones. Sadly, yeah, my Wes's helmet is a bit weird, but I think overall I am grateful that I still have him. But I had the problem that you mentioned in your review about the arrow, the lower half of the arrow, the white part hasn't been painted properly. I don't know if it's with every figure that that's happened to, or whether it's just a QC issue, but it's missing a layer of paint, so
Yeah,
you can see the red underneath.
I've seen some really bad ones. I've seen one where it looked like somebody with using their own hand, not even machine, got like a little bottle of whiteout and brushed over that line. I've seen it look that sloppy before. So it can be really bad. So if you have the opportunity to look it over, you can get ones that are clean looking like mine. I think I was very fortunate. Or you can get ones where that red bleeds through quite a bit, or you can get one where they have little painted over lines like somebody tried to hand correct it, and it just came out terrible. So I see lots of people complain about the Power Rangers paint apps. I've always been very fortunate on my figures, so I'm always thinking like, oh, I wonder what all the hate is about. But seeing some of the Time Force Red, I'm thinking, oh, I see, I get it now.
Yeah, it's a real shame because he could have been one of the standout Rangers from this wave, but because of my copy, I'm gonna say I think he's still above Billy, but I think he's lower than Zeo Gold, even though that's my second time buying Zeo Gold and Ranger Slayer. But
Oh yeah,
it is a real shame because Wes is a fan favorite. The figure is a letdown. But he does have a really, I feel like the head sculpt is really nice. Again, he suffers like what Zeo Gold has, and he is far too pale. Now he's not as pale as or comparing Zeo Gold's figure to the actors, but he is paler. I feel like he is paler to what Jason Font, the actor who plays Wes, is. And so you're losing all of this detail that he has, because I have seen grayscales from the sculptor because he posted them on his Instagram, and the detail is there, and he does look like the actor, but because of the color of the plastic that they used, I don't feel like it really helps the figure at all. The helmet sculpt is accurate in its sculpt, but again, the paint apps, it is missing two stripes on the back. You probably wouldn't have noticed, but if you look at a 360 view of the suit, it is missing those paint apps on the helmet.
it looks sculpted on though, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'll be honest, because of my move, I haven't opened the figures
Oh
yet, just because I've been unpacking.
yeah. So the sculpt has kind of a wide red line, I guess. So the silver stripe is down the center, but there's a little bit of a wider sculpt to that line. So I'm assuming that's where the missing paint should have been.
Yeah, I would imagine so too. Again, I would have opened my figures and had to play with them, but because of the move, I just haven't had time to. For Wave 6 though, when it comes out eventually, I will be opening them. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's it for Wes, to be honest. There's not really a lot to say about him, just because I am disappointed with the quality issues that I have. You know, I don't know. Is that it for Wes? I think?
Yeah, I think that's the only thing to point out is so his swords. I think the promo shots had a little bit more black paint on some of the outlines of it that we didn't get in figure form. Those things are typical though when you have promo images to full release. So I just want to point that out.
Right, yeah. Yeah, actually, yeah, no, the effects that he does come with, the two swords, I really do like. I am glad he comes with. I understand why they didn't give him his, I don't remember the name of it, but his huge blaster that he has. I understand why they didn't give that to him, because it would have, again, it would have probably warranted an exclusive, and I don't think Wes is that popular to release him as an exclusive and for him to sell. I think he would have sold, but not as well as, say, Armored Black, you know. But yeah, I think he is an all right figure. But I think in terms of the figures that they have released, I think he is on the lower end of the spectrum in terms of quality and just how well executed he was. in terms of the ranking of them, who from worst to best, who would you say?
Worst to best.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna go with your ranking that you had mentioned a couple minutes ago. So worst would be Time Force Red West. Um,
Okay.
then next, I would go with. I'd probably go with Zeo Gold next, only because as great of a figure as it is, I already have him. Well, I don't have Trey, so just because it's a re-release, he gets knocked down a peg. Then Ranger Slayer with the best of the wave being Billy, because it's the Mighty Morphin team. It's the Blue Ranger. You know, he was. I won't say he was my favorite when I was a kid. He was definitely one of my favorites, though. I think when I was a kid, blue was my favorite color, but I leaned towards Jason because he was the leader.
Yeah. I'm going to go with a different ranking to you. I'm going to put Billy last. I know. I'm sorry. Yeah, the reason being is that he, compared to the other three, I think he is just too plain. Because with Time Force, it's a brand new team that we haven't gotten yet. Despite Wes's flaws, I think I do enjoy. Well, then again, I haven't opened them again, but I feel like I would enjoy that figure more than Billy, just because, yeah, Mighty Morphin as a design is we have to admit it is a bit plain looking. It is the one that started it all, but it is a bit plain looking. So I think for me it would be Billy, then Wes, just because of the quality issues that I've experienced with my copy. And then I'd go with Trey, just because it is the Gold Ranger, and I think it is the best gold design going in all of Power Rangers. Yes, it is a re-release, but not a lot of people got, well, at least in America, not a lot of people got the San Diego Comic Con exclusive. Worldwide, or at least in the UK, it was more widely available because it was a fan channel exclusive, thankfully.
Wow.
Yeah, thankfully. So it appeared in Amazon, it appeared on Comics and Cocktails, it appeared in In-Demand Toys, retail store, like a posh retail store called Phoenix, weirdly enough. It appeared in all sorts of places, but I think for America, because you didn't get that luxury of getting it, that sort of wide release of it, I do put it that high, and it is just an incredible sculpt. And then on top, I would say Ranger Slayer, just because it is the most unique, and the comics are what brought me back to the franchise. So I am a bit biased towards that, but I am glad that she is a figure and that she is so unique, and I am hopeful for the future that Hasbro do, because there have been some waves that just haven't had any unique sculpts. Actually, no, there hasn't. I think there's been a unique sculpt in every wave. Yeah, because you have Magna Defender for wave 2. That was a unique sculpt. You had for wave 3, suppose Dino Charge Gold, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, I suppose he was a kind of a unique sculpt. And then
he's got
for
some differences to him compared to Red, right?
yeah, yeah. And then for wave 4, you had Blaze, who was just incredible. Absolutely love that figure.
I still need to pick him up. I'm only missing two out of the entire Lightning collection, and that's Blaze and SPD Red.
Oh, really? You need
Yeah.
to get on that.
I know, I know. So I've gone back and I've gotten all the other figures, because when I first started collecting, I was thinking, I'm only gonna do Mighty Morphin, but I'll probably do Zeo too, because I did love that show when I was a kid. And while we're at it, I'll probably do Turbo because I did watch that. And then somewhere along the lines, I just said, no, I'm all in now. Forget it. I'm done.
When Hasbro announced the line, because I do enjoy their Marvel Legends, and the Marvel Legends are well, at the time they were the only thing that I really collected action figure wise. But because I am such a Power Rangers comic fan, I sort of felt like I needed to get all the Power Rangers because of Shattered Grid, because technically they do all appear, and I just think it would be a really nice display just to have them all on a shelf with one figure from each season representing their season on, opened and displayed, just to save space. I think that would just look absolutely stunning. And I feel like if I just cherry pick along the way, then I'm going to shoot myself in the foot at some point. I just know I am. So if I get them all now, I can always downsize. I doubt I ever will because this is the only line that I really collect now. I'm done with Marvel Legends just because I've gotten all the X-Men figures that I like, or all the characters that I like.
It's a good call.
Yeah, with the line though, I think that to begin with, that first wave was incredible. Just every figure was incredible. The only problem that I had with the first wave was Dino Charge Red and the teeth. None of the teeth that I found were lined up correctly. But yeah, I think the line will just continue to go from strength to strength. They started off really well to begin with, and I feel like people are gonna start to not get tired with the line, but they're gonna just get used to it, if that makes sense. They're gonna get
Yeah.
used to the quality of it. So I feel like Hasbro do need to up their game, at least for, well, they are doing it, but at least for one figure of the wave. I don't know who it'll be for Wave 6, because I think the rumor is MMPR Black, which makes sense, In
Yeah.
Space Yellow, which is a shock, to me at least. Who else?
Zeo Red.
Yeah, Zeo Red. Yep,
And
Zeo
then
Red.
I guess it's a villain from the comics that I'm not familiar with. I can't even think of the name.
Oh, okay. I heard it was going to be Grum from SPD.
Oh, then maybe it's from SPD. I don't know. I could be completely wrong.
Because they're all code names. It was one of those listings that you didn't really know who it was, and it was the SPD code with generator and G Grum, so people made the connection there. But we honestly have no idea what Wave 6 is going to be. But I'm
They
excited for
seem
the
to
future.
be, yeah,
Sorry?
they seem to be focusing a lot on SPD to have already had 2 figures released.
I think they're doing a good job with spreading out their wings a bit. And I understand people are annoyed that they are focusing on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, but at the end of the day, it is what sells.
That's the moneymaker.
Exactly. Why are they going to release a wave without an MMPR figure? You know, because it probably won't sell as well, and it'll probably be the wave that peg warms them most. Because you have to admit, even in the waves where they have had comic MMPR characters, they still sell because they still have MMPR written on the sides. So people are like, oh, well, I don't know this character, but it's Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, so I'm still going to pick it up. If you get what I mean.
Yep. Completely agree.
So even in future, when they run out of MMPR characters, they've still got the comics to rely on. Because they've still got the Solar Rangers, which are technically still MMPR, even though they don't appear during that time frame. I don't know, is there anything more that you would like to say on it? Or
No, but I completely agree with you. I think the line has done a lot of new things. Yes, we're getting a lot of the same molds, but I think they're really branching out and committed to giving us complete teams, however long that may be. But I do see good things, and I think there's a fair mix between the seasons and the comics. With like the Green Psycho Ranger coming out, so I think they're hitting a lot of different fan bases, which I think is a good thing. And so I applaud.
yeah. One thing I will say is that I wish there were more Disney seasons, because so far I believe we've only got SPD from the Disney era, and I know a lot of people are rooting for Ninja Storm and Dino Thunder. They are great seasons, and they will come eventually. I know that White Dino Thunder is rumored. I think it was an Amazon listing, is rumored to come
Right.
out at some
Yeah.
point.
Well, but the Bandai Legacy Collection gave us those ones, and not that I think Hasbro wanted to fill in some of those gaps, and then obviously they want to get the Mighty Morphin, but I wouldn't be surprised if Dino Thunder and Ninja Storm. I wouldn't be surprised if those take a while to come out.
The one season that I think will take a while to come out is what's it called? Operation Overdrive. I don't know if there are many fans for Operation Overdrive, and I think Hasbro know that.
I haven't heard a single good thing about that.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that'll be one of the last seasons that we'll get figures for. Am I complaining about that? No. There are far better seasons that I think do need attention, that I don't think have gotten attention in a very long time. Like Time Force, that's a fantastic season, and that's just after 20 years I don't know. I wasn't really following Power Rangers when Bandai were doing the toys, but I don't believe they came out with many Time Force Power Rangers apart from Time Force Red. Yeah, so it's nice that we are getting brand new figures, especially after like 20 something years, because Time Force is 20 years old next year, which is mind blowing to me because
Oh
that is the
wow.
first season that I saw on TV. Yeah, I think that's it though. I think for us discussing the Lightning Collection Wave 5, unless you've got something else to say.
I think that's all I got.
All right, all right. Well, we'll move on to Instagram responses. So I'll just get those up quickly. I've got a few nice responses. So the Black Crusader says, "Love it. Bring on more Boom Studio characters." I completely agree. Lovey Mush said, "Personally, I love it. I think the quality is getting better and better, especially with Billy." Yeah, I agree with you, but for different reasons. I don't think Billy is a standout because of the quality. I think he's just a standout because of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. But I do agree that they are up in their quality. Oh, I can't pronounce your name, mate. I'm really sorry. Yo Angar Nenkov. I would imagine that's Eastern European, or I could just be stupid. But he says the Mighty Morphin nostalgia is too strong and needs to relax to see other teams breathe. I agree to that to a certain extent. But again, I understand why they're doing MMPR. I do. It's because it's a seller.
They have to, yeah. They have to draw that fan base in, because they're the most recognizable. They have to, and we're talking one figure in a wave. Maybe that's not so bad.
Orans 30 says, "Really like this wave, although I wish they included a Ranger Slayer head." I completely agree with you. It also, sorry, Nathan Thomas said that as well. Pretty much the same exact thing. I have a feeling if they did that, it would have turned it into an exclusive, like I said previously. The Beltway says, "I just wish there was more Tommy."
We could all use more Tommy. We could
Yeah.
still have what 2-3 figures to go. Red Zeo, Red Turbo, Black Dino Thunder. We'll get them. They'll
You
come.
know what? You know what? I just want them to release a Tommy wave. Sod it.
All Tommy.
Yeah. You know what? And if they run out of Rangers, just do his civilian looks.
You're right. Yeah,
Fuck it.
it'll sell. It's golden for Hasbro. Of course, they know
Yeah.
it'll.
Because he's got so he's got green, white, red, black, and then you can also have like his anniversary civilian looks as well, like if you really want to push it, which I'm sure Hasbro will at some point.
Yeah, he's had a lot of different looks.
Yeah, sod it. Just release. You know what? Release like a 6-pack and have a repack because they can do that. Repack like the White Ranger or something.
Yeah,
I fucking dare you, Hasbro.
Yeah.
Do it.
Power Morphicon exclusive Tommy Oliver box set.
Yeah. Didn't Bandai do that with the Tommy 3-pack?
Yeah, they did. I think it was New York Comic Con. They did that Fighting Spirit 3-pack. So it had the Green Ranger, White Ranger, and was it the Red Zeo? And they were all the metallic. They were the metallic versions. So that was the only way to get a metallic green and white. So at the time, I was like, shit, I need to get this damn thing. I never did and I never could. And I'm glad I didn't spend all crazy money on it. But it was a pretty cool set at the time.
Yeah, the first major Comic Con that I went to, they had it there at the Bandai booth, and I was so tempted to get it. Luckily for me, I held off on it, and then it sold out later in the day. But yeah, no, it looked pretty cool. But yeah, I'm glad I didn't get it because I got the Psycho Red Bandai figure, and I'm struggling to sell it. I'll be honest. Yeah, I do kind of regret getting that figure because with the Psycho 5-pack that's coming out, it'll be my third Psycho Red. But it is what it is. And that's it really for the... I mean, there were hundreds of Instagram comments, so thank you so much, guys, for reaching out and saying your piece. A lot of them were the same, unfortunately. Thank you guys for your input. I think that's it for this episode. I will just say thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Lots of fun.
Yeah.
My first podcast.
were great and you had a lot of input, which is fantastic. And yeah, what have you got going on with your YouTube channel and stuff? Because you're close to hitting 20K, am I right?
Very close. So I'm about 380 or so away from hitting it. So I am very excited because I've never in my wildest dreams thought anybody would be interested in anything that I did. So I'm blown away and shocked. I've been doing YouTube for about 3.5 years almost, and the response and the support has just been amazing, and I can't thank everyone enough.
That is a huge milestone, especially for today's standards, where it's either you've got millions of subscribers or you've got nothing. So I think 20K is a huge milestone. But yeah, just before you mentioned about a store, am I right?
Yeah, so I just launched a Teespring store. I guess I don't have too many expectations from it, but I just thought, you know what, let me launch it and kind of see what's going. So if anybody's interested in shirts or stickers for whether it's my logo or the new MCU Ranger helmet that I had commissioned, if you guys follow me on Instagram, you could check it out. It's kind of a spider themed Power Ranger helmet, or Spider-Man themed. It was done by Gio Alvarez on Instagram. You could check him out on my posts. I was following his page and seeing all the different custom artwork that he did on Power Rangers helmets, and I loved what he did and the style. So I asked him, hey, I'm like, hey, what can you do? What can you do for me? And the only thing I told him was, the only thing I would like to see is the spider logo that I use for that to be the visor of the helmet. And he came up with his own design, and it just looks absolutely fantastic. So there's stickers available on there, and there's going to be t-shirts available for anybody that's interested. So that's kind of the new thing for the channel. And then hopefully my goal by July 15th will hit the 20,000 subscriber mark.
Well, you heard it here, guys. If you don't subscribe to MCUcollector24 on YouTube, you probably should do. Because I'll be honest, since I discovered you, I don't know how long ago it was. I think it was probably during the Infinity War figure releases. You have really gone up my ranks in terms of reviewers that I actually appreciate their opinions on, the figures, because you're much more mellowed out. And I'm not going to mention any names. I feel like some reviewers are very aggressive in how, I'm sure they're really nice guys, but the way that they come across is very aggressive and very manic, crazy. Whereas you're very mellowed out and chilled. Give your piece on the figure. You don't really overstay your welcome, which is nice. You're doing a cracking job, man. You really are. Yeah, and that helmet design as well is incredible.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I tried to just show my excitement for the figures as a collector. Growing up, when I was a kid, I loved toys. I still love them, and my excitement might show a lot sometimes in my videos, but that's what it's all about, right? It's all about the fun of collecting and having these action figures and how cool they look, and that's what it's all about. So there's not a whole lot of figures that I don't like, and a lot of people think that Hasbro sends me these figures so I have to say nice things. Hasbro doesn't send me anything. I pay for all my figures. Every now and then I'll get something free. Like I'm expecting some Beast Kingdom Egg Attack figures to be delivered any minute now. But that's not going to change anything. I'm still excited for the figure and what it represents and how cool they look. If something's not good, I'll say it, but I still overall I think a figure for the most part looks good every time. So I try to just show my excitement for things.
And that's how it should be. But yeah, if you're interested in Bryant, then please do check out his videos. I'll have a link in the description no matter where you're listening, whether it be Spotify, Apple, Google, Anchor, you name it, it'll be on there. YouTube as well. Yeah, so please do check him out. Yeah, I think that's it for the podcast. I just want to say thank you to my cover photo done by Josh Steele. You can check him out on Instagram at A Basket of Kisses, or his website at joshsteele.co.uk. Also, a huge thank you to Frankie Waters for putting together the intro and outro. His toy photography Instagram is at figure_lens. You can check me out at instagram.com/lightning collection, or Twitter at twitter.com/PRL collective. Thank you guys for listening. I do have a few things coming up on YouTube in the next week or so. I'm planning on doing a review on Necessary Evil. It will be a spoiler-free review. But other than that, I think that's it. Have you got anything more to say, Bryant?
No, just for everybody listening, thank you. And Callum, thank you for having me on the podcast. I had a blast doing it, so thanks.
Amazing, yeah. Hopefully I'll have you on again for maybe Wave 6 or maybe the Psycho Team Pack when that's released. Thank you for coming on. That's it for today's episode. Thank you guys for listening. Enjoy your day.
Thanks, everyone.
You've just been listening to the Lightning Collective podcast. Have a great day.